Switzerland and the European Union are negotiating a new agreement aimed at enhancing their bilateral relations. Why is it significant? I am here with Professor Karl Baudenbacher, former president of EFTA Court. Welcome to RIX Europe.
Hello.
So could you explain the significance of the recent talks between Switzerland and the European Union?
Well, Switzerland has been negotiating with the European Union essentially since 2014 on the conclusion of an institutional agreement. And the negotiations were interrupted in May 2021 when the Swiss government said that the way it looked at the time, they risked that it would not pass in a referendum. And now they have started to negotiate again. I think they had one round. And the purpose of this is to conclude a complex of agreements which would give Swiss industry privileged access to the European single market. And in return for that, the Swiss would have to accept the taking over of EU law in a dynamic way, the factual surveillance by the Commission of the European Union, and an interpretation monopoly of the Court of Justice of the European Union.
What led to the renewal of the discussions between the two parties?
Well, the fact that Swiss industry is pushing for this, they think in terms of, we must be free to export as much as possible because that's important for our economy. That's important for our jobs, for the well-being of the country in general. I think that was essential. And then the foreign ministry has always been in favor of such an agreement. And together they have managed to convince the government that the talks should start again. The European Union is happy anyway about the way things have been pre-negotiated, because, as I said, it would give them considerable power. They would have a factual right to monitor Switzerland's behavior, and their Court of Justice would have an interpretation monopoly.
So is it so that in exchange for market access with the EU, Switzerland has to abide to EU's rules?
Well, abide to EU rules is probably not the right term. They would have it would go much further. They would have to abide to this powerful position of the Court of Justice of the European Union. I mean, among equals, and Switzerland and the European Union are highly developed economies, both. Among equals, it's totally unusual that one side can bring the referee. If Real Madrid plays FC Barcelona, they cannot bring their own referee. But here we would have the situation that the Court of Justice of the European Union would have the last word. Very unusual.
And how could the outcome of this affect things like trade and other areas within the European Union?
Well, it would probably, I don't know whether it would increase trade, but at least it would keep trade on the same level as it has been in the past. As I said, Swiss industry, in particular the big firms, are interested in unhindered access to the European single market. They do not care about, issues like sovereignty or issues like independence of courts. They only can calculate in terms of money making.
So could you tell me, in your opinion, what you think the outcome could be of this, the positives or negatives?
Well, I'm opposed to this kind of agreement because it would be an unequal treaty. There's no such thing in Western Europe. Nobody has such a regime that they have to abide by the judgments of the court of the other side. The court of the other side is not neutral, and courts must be neutral. So I think At the end of the day, we will have a referendum, and then it remains to be seen whether the Swiss people and the Swiss cantons will say yes to this, as I call it, unequal treaty.
Thank you, Professor Karl Baudenbach, former president for EFTA Court.
You are very welcome.
And thank you for watching RIX Europe.